Welcome to the weekend. I had my mic off. Welcome to the weekend. My name is Brian, and I'm here to, after a long day at work, kind of talk a little bit about some of the news that happened today, because we had a lot happen. Ended up putting in 11 hours at my job. In the middle of everything, just had my boss in town, so it was a little bit chaotic where I'm at. And at a certain point, I took a look at my phone and I was like, holy shit, there's all kinds of stuff happening right now. Go figure, right? Anyway, what we're looking at right now is a whole bunch of stuff happening on the PlayStation side with Sony Interactive. Jim Ryan stepping down, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about Xbox and Meta coming out today and talking about a little bit about the Quest 3 with Xbox Cloud Services, if I can speak. And of course the FTC coming out basically in full force and saying they're going to be continuing to pursue any action they could take to prevent the Activision Blizzard merger from going through. So it was literally a busy day. And of course I wasn't ready for any of it. I literally came home and grabbed some food, and then I just jumped in the shower to just do something, threw on a shirt. Didn't do anything with my hair. Literally didn't do anything outside of the absolute minor tasks that I had to take care of. So let's just get into the first thing, and then we'll talk about Jim Ryan stepping down, because this is a big deal. It's a really big deal when you consider it. Jim Ryan has been part of the PlayStation business for 30 years at this point, and he's going to be stepping down in March. A lot of the gamers that you see, especially on services like Twitch and on Kick and just a lot of the people who talk games aren't even 30 years old, and he's been with the company for that long. So whether you're with the console warriors and picking a side, or you're just part of the industry and that you've played games for a long time, Jim Ryan has been there in the background, in the foreground a lot of times. And so it's a big deal when somebody like him decides that he's going to step down. As I said, he's going to be stepping down in March of 2024, just a few months from now. Hiroki Totoki, the COO and CFO there at Sony Group, is actually going to act as interim CEO once that all happens. I just can't say enough. I mean, I said the other night I'm one of the people that goes back and forth between systems, and I have no blind loyalty towards either of them. So I'll just go ahead and say, from a person who typically enjoys Xbox more, I still have the utmost respect for Jim Ryan and everything he's done at PlayStation. Just literally, when he's become synonymous with that company. That being said, moving on from there, who knows what's going to happen there now? It just seems like that's kind of everything's going to be up in arms, up in questions. I hope you weren't intending on selling any Sony stock tomorrow, because if you were, that the news is probably going to impact negatively the stock prices at Sony, at least because of the PlayStation division, especially with all the SAG-AFTRA stuff, now focusing on video games, which that's something I didn't even think to put in the thing, but they're announcing that they're going to be focusing some of their strike efforts at video games due to AI, which would be an excellent topic to do a whole podcast on with AI. God, I hate AI. Well, when it comes to taking jobs and things like that away from actors, what a terrible idea. what a terrible idea to utilize AI in that as kind of a means to it's just horrible. It's not a good thing, and I hope the SAG-AFTRA I'm not a big union person, having been in the union for 10 years and not enjoying that experience. I really hope they succeed in stopping AI from being a thing for voice talent, because there are so many talented people out there, and you hate to see it just go away because a computer program can be written. That said, with Sony now kind of being put in a position of being forced to go into a transition, with just kind of an interim announcement, the stock prices, if you weren't going to sell, you're going to lose a little bit of money tomorrow. But long term, it'll be interesting to see how Sony as a company changes direction. Almost every time you're going to have a new CEO of any company or any boss at any level, changes will occur. The Activision Blizzard trials, if you will, kind of had a little bit of a black eye, no matter what side of the fence you're standing on. When Sony was the only one standing up still, and everybody was agreeing, and it didn't look great. Now with the hacking business, that's not good. If you're going to retire and you've hit 30 years, that's kind of the perfect storm to just kind of say, yeah, I don't really want to deal with this. That being said, I don't think he's responsible for any of it outside of maybe the stance they were trying to take against the ABK acquisition. At times could have been handled better from a PR standpoint. But what are you going to do? I mean, he was against it. They didn't want it to happen. And so, like it or not, he's going to be the guy out in front. But all things considered, I would just basically say congratulations to Jim Ryan on an incredible career with Sony. He took that. He was basically at the helm for huge jumps in the industry, and that can't be discounted. A lot of what he did for Sony, basically making them the leader in the console market by leaps and bounds. And literally, it can't be understated. It's very, very big impact on the industry. So congrats to him. And with that, we're going to actually move on to the next story. We'll just basically go in the order that I made it on my graphic, I guess. So Meta, a year ago, they basically said that Xbox's xCloud services are going to be offered on the Meta Quest platform. More of that came out just today. With Xbox Game Pass, it will be coming to the Quest 3. Of course, Quest 3, Mark Zuckerberg announced that, this Quest 3 is going to be the most powerful Quest yet. Well, I would certainly hope so. How often do we go and we say, okay, well, we're going to go less powerful this generation? That's just not going to happen. But with the Quest 3 coming out for, I believe, $500, $499, they'd have to have a pretty strong library in order for that to be worth it to most people. That being said, adding Xbox Game Pass and the availability of that to that service is actually going to be it's going to increase the value of that purchase if you should choose to do it. The one thing is that the Xbox Game Pass games and the various games from Microsoft services, the majority of them will not be native virtual reality games. They will just be like a 2D type format, which if you had to play PSVR, as I did, some of the games that I played on there, I just liked playing it on the PlayStation VR. And it would just be a straight game. and I played Persona 5, the majority of it. I just kind of like the more theatrical experience that it sort of felt like. And I'm sure there's a lot of people there with me on that one, because, I mean, just having the big screen right in front of you, and I had a big enough TV, but it was kind of interesting. Other than that, the PSVR basically collected dust. It's just not not something that I often kind of associated with myself with, because as an adult male with so much going on, I could not put that thing on and just block myself out from the world around me. It's not practical. It's not a practical device. That's why when they announced the PSVR 2, okay, great, but it's niche. It's a niche item. It's not an item that I'm interested in. As fun as the tech is, I'm just not interested because I cannot shut myself off to the world. It's not something that is possible for me to do. It's hard enough for me to take the time and say I'm going to play 2 hours of a game and sit back and do it when there's so much else going on in my world that needs to be taken care of. And frankly, that's why my PlayStation VR, after a month or so, maybe 2 months, basically just sat. It sits in the same spot today that it was back 2 years ago. Having not been used by myself or my son. So I kind of look at the Quest 3 in that same vein. I'm not going to pay $500 for a unit like that. But some people who might have been on the fence might actually look at that and say, hey, the presence of xCloud services and Game Pass in particular add the value to that unit and push me from one side of the fence to the other, or from on top of the fence to the one side. So we'll see what that means for the future. See how much of an impact that has. Whether we see pre-orders shoot up or what. I'm sure those numbers will come out sooner rather than later, just to show sort of the impact on that. And for the final story here, and really I'm keeping it short because I've got some stuff I need to take care of tonight before going into the weekend. I know it's only Wednesday, but I'm trying to set up my gaming area, my gaming station with the new computer and trying to get lighting configurations and wiring configurations and all that. So I'm not really in the headspace to sit here and go for a full hour, so I'm just going to make it a quick one tonight. But the last thing that I was going to talk about was the FTC coming out today and basically announcing that they are going to pursue stopping the Microsoft and Activision merger from happening with whatever means they have to do so. Reading from Windows Central right now, the FTC in the U.S. announced that it would continue internal efforts to block Microsoft's acquisition, previously failing to secure a preliminary injunction or an emergency stay from the courts to prevent the acquisition from closing. Essentially, they can pursue an internal review of it and even sue after the fact. But because they didn't get that preliminary injunction, many of you know already, they're actually not allowed or not able to stop it. They don't have the tools to stop the closing of the deal from happening. Some cases, if they find a way to legally go in and say, hey, this is not something that is legal, they may be able to force Microsoft to sell off portions of that acquisition in the future. But it's an uphill battle because the Judge Corley, I believe, or Crowley, I might be saying Crowley because of Good Omens, but Judge Corley basically saying they had no grounds to stand on when it came to that case. So they didn't look good. All the stuff that they're trying to do, and if you've been paying attention, the FTC kind of threw in more chips going after Amazon, saying that they're illegally creating a monopoly and protecting their monopoly. So they got a lot on their plate right now. Lulu Cheng Maservi, who, if you don't follow her on Twitter or X or whatever, is a PR person at Activision. And she basically tweeted out that her response to that, saying that they're just working closely with Microsoft to get the thing closed, and it's not up to them how the FTC decides to spend, I believe how she said it, their limited funds, which was kind of a backhanded swipe because if you aren't aware, the FTC had their budget slashed by Congress. They were pushing for almost a twofold increase of funding, and the congressional hearings, after they went through them, they slashed it by like a third. So they ended up going the opposite direction. So it's kind of her response was sort of a backhanded swipe to that, and basically saying, hey, they can do whatever they want. They can use whatever resources they want to do their thing, but we're still focused on our thing, which for them is closing the deal, becoming part of the Microsoft Studios family, if you will. But if you're into that kind of thing and you want to engage in the console wars, that's, I guess, a good thing for you, because that continues on. Me, I'm tired of it. I wish the deal would either close or just not. Just get it over with. Who cares? I personally don't play the majority of the games that Activision has. Probably haven't played many Activision games outside of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series. And so, whatever. It is what it is. And those people with the big money are going to continue to make big money, whether they're coloring the boxes that their product comes in as green or blue. It simply does not matter. As long as the gamers continue to get the games, that's the only thing that really matters. You can argue all day that it's going to be one way or the other. But ultimately, who knows? I don't know. I think I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude who plays the games. And when they come out, I'm happy. They're there. They give me the entertainment, the break that I need. And that's what we're here for, right? We enjoy those experiences. We share those experiences. And we do what we have to play the games that we want to play. So as long as that continues, that's all that really matters. In the meantime, we're going to call that a show. One, my voice is getting tired because, like I said, I had a long day at work. And quite simply, I'm ready for bed now. And it's only not even 8 o'clock. The result of being older at this point. If you join me, thank you for joining me. Thank you for just letting me bend your ear. I really do appreciate that. And in the future, we're going to talk more. I am going to get guests on. As I set up everything on my new computer and my new setup here, I'm going to be experimenting with some ways to present what it is that we do here. So thank you for bearing with me, and we'll see you next time. In the meantime, I thank you so much once again for taking the time to actually hang out with me. So have a good evening, and we will see you on the weekend right here at the One Up Club.